Evening, everyone. Hi, Ben. Ben? Ben? Oh, there's no Ben. There's no Ben. We're just sweet tonight. There's no short. No, big shout out goes to Ben, who's unfortunately been in the wars a little bit. So he's had a stint in hospital this week and isn't well enough to join us tonight. So best wishes going out to Ben. If you want to wish him well, just drop him a little tweet there at Training with BM. Hashtag get well soon, Ben. Hashtag buses don't drive themselves. He'll appreciate that and it will make him feel a lot better. So thanks for everyone for joining me tonight. I'm really excited because I get to have two fantastic guests with me who were part of the best team I've ever been part of, which was Concatenate. And they're here this evening to talk to us all about the Google Innovator experience, as the three of us were members of the first ever virtual Google Innovator Academy. So without any further ado, let's bring them on. Hi, everybody. Let's just make sure everybody's unmuted. There we go. Evening, Filomena.
Hello there. Thank you.
Hi, Peter. You all right?
Oh, yes, Peter.
Marvelous.
Be left out.
Hey, we're going to take off at this rate, aren't we? Fantastic. How are you all doing? All right?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Aaron.
Brilliant. So thanks for coming along tonight, guys. Ben does send his apologies. He really did want to be here, but he's got to put himself first. Like they say, put your life mask on yourself before anybody else. So he's very much convalescing and hoping to be on the mend soon. So shout out to him, and also shout out to the rest of Team Concatenate, who unfortunately couldn't join us tonight, but I know we'll probably catch this on catch up later on. So big shout out to them, and a massive shout out to our team coach Jess as well.
Oh yes, thinking
about she was a brilliant coach.
Absolutely, she certainly was. Even doing it on the train.
Yeah, and in a cafe once as well.
Yes. Yeah.
All over the place.
It doesn't sound like a hardship, but you know. So the reason I wanted to kind of focus on this, guys, is because we've had a very fortunate situation where we've been part of the first ever Google Innovator Academy. But first of all, I know my reasons, but I was interested to know, what were your reasons behind applying in the first place?
Oh, great question. Can I go first, Peter?
Ladies first, of course, yeah.
Thank you. So when I became trainer, I joined Twitter. Twitter is not so famous in Italy as social media. And then after this introduction to Twitter, I came in contact with so many people from Global GAG. I became a leader for Global GAG, and they pushed me to apply for innovator. I was thinking, I was struggling. Oh yes, maybe not. I have an idea in my mind, trying to level down the digital divide for kids. But it wasn't challenging for me, because it's a thing that I do every day. Try to teach kids to use computer or to go digitally and other things like that. So I stopped, and I think what could be the challenging application for me. And then I figured out about social emotional learning, which I knew nothing before, because we don't have so much information in Italy. And I would like to start this path to introduce social emotional learning in Italy classroom, in Italian classroom, as a primary subject. And this is my challenge. I start this big picture and start to have so many ideas in my mind. Then I do my application, I did my video, and then I received my confirmation and was so happy. But at the beginning, I think that I suffered from imposter syndrome, and because I think, oh, maybe they they made a mistake, because I am not enough for this big academy. I know that is a common sense for some trainer or educator in this academy. And then I start to my big picture, start to learn design thinking, and I learned so much in this academy, and I organize and planning very well my project. So I am at a good point right now. I found an association which I collaborate in Celtro. I don't know if I could mention, and it's amazing. It is an amazing project because we have so much thing to. We have a connection, so we have an exchange of resources or knowledge, and I enjoy this path so much. For all of, mainly because I met you, Darren, Peter, another team member, because our team, I think that is the best of all the VIA Innovator Academy 2020.
We certainly had a lot of fun, didn't we?
Yeah, a lot of fun. I love those fun. I was your fan before the academy, and then I met you and became friends.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing for me to know people and discover normal people that.
Ooh, I don't think we're normal.
Yeah, they share their knowledge. I learned so much from you, Darren. I learned so much from you, Peter, and I enjoy this path so much.
Brilliant. And I think
one of the first things we learned from Darren was reface, of course.
Well, yeah, goes without saying. Technology's got to be used for good, right? And if I can get rid of this face and replace it with another one, that's got to be a benefit to everybody. So, what about you, Peter? What made you apply?
Yeah, so I only joined Twitter about August last year, and before that, I was, I think I was a bit out of touch with everything else kind of going on in like the Google world. I wasn't really aware of a Google Trainer or Innovator programs, so I only became aware of that once I joined Twitter, and started connecting to existing innovators and kind of learning about like, all the projects they'd been working on. And I looked at it at first, and it just seems like such a big, unachievable thing. Like Filomena touched on imposter syndrome. You do feel that, and yeah, I was just amazed by all the other projects these people were doing, and I actually lucky enough to meet these people in person and hear about it a bit more. And I thought, wow, it sounds like a great opportunity. I'd also had recently finished a master's, so I was kind of looking at another kind of something else to get my teeth into, and put time and effort into. So got the Google certified trainer about this time last year, and I was almost going to apply for Sweden, but I didn't quite feel ready for that at that point. So I thought, okay, I'll wait until this year. I was all geared up to apply for the one in California at Sunnyvale. That was going to be the goal. And I was a bit disappointed at the beginning of the year, and when that got kind of postponed, I guess. But then learned about Via 20, and well, I thought if anyone can put off an amazing online academy, it's got to be Google, and of course Andy Caffrey and his team. And it was amazing, wasn't it? And
it was. Yeah.
I think the advantage of doing this online is having that space between the sessions to really kind of absorb and digest everything we're learning. And we had much longer to work on our prototypes and go off and interview our users. So that was really useful. I think just having that extra time, and also more time to kind of get to know each other over the last, what has it been, for like 3 months now? Was it? 3 or 4 months?
Yeah, since kind of the teams first got announced. Yeah, it must be nearly 3 months now.
Before that, we had that collaborative task of designing the logo together.
Indeed.
It was a lot of fun.
It certainly was.
Getting a feel for working across time zones.
Yeah.
So we come up, we post a load of ideas in the chat, go to bed, and wake up the next day, and people in other time zones have taken those ideas and kind of ran with those and done some more work on it. And we're just like, it's like a 24-hour process, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And like you say, sort of, we'd all go to bed, and then APAC would wake up, and then the States would get involved. And there were kind of like 3 cycles all going on at once. Trying to pull it all together was difficult. I don't know about you guys, but for me, that was probably one of the steepest learning curves in the, not being precious about an idea. Okay, you might have come up with an idea, but let's not, it's not kind of put a house and a mortgage on it. But actually, from all ideas come some great ideas, and obviously we followed that up later on with the design thinking and everything else. But that was kind of our chucked in the deep end task, wasn't it? And a great fun and a great logo, Peter.
Thank you. Well, it is a collaborative effort, and I, looking back through all the logos we designed, and you can see how the ideas kind of, evolved in that time. And it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, certainly was. And from my own point of view, I was very much like you, Peter. I think it was a year ago today we first met, wasn't it, at the Google Trainer Energizer in London?
Oh no, I wasn't. No, I went to one the day before, actually.
Did you?
I went to the trainer workshop to become a trainer. Yeah, so just missed each other by a day.
Just missed each other, right? Cool. So I was looking back at some photos today, and I was conscious that not everybody was in the photos because some people had to shoot off early. But yeah, that was a year ago today. I've been a trainer for coming up for 2 years now. I've got to do my recertification for level 2 next week, so no pressure there. But
you'll be fine.
But very much like yourself, and the same as Filomena, I was going to apply for Sweden and didn't feel that I fitted in, really. I wasn't convinced that it was the right kind of thing for me. So I started my Sweden application, and I never did the video, and I never submitted it, mainly because life and situations got in the way and things like that. But also I was a little bit like, I'm not sure it's right for me. And then when lockdown hit and global came along, exactly the same as you, Filomena, just talking to everybody else, the likes of Steph and Leslie and people like that, who kind of said, what do you mean you're not an innovator? Surely you are. And that kind of made me think a little bit. And then there's no way I would have been able to afford to take the time out of school or anything like that to do Sunnyvale or any of the others. So as soon as they announced it was going online, I just thought, this was, sometimes things in life happen for a reason, and let's make something really positive out of a pretty terrible situation. So I think I applied. I got my application and everything done in about 24 hours, and then just put it in and thought, what will be, and didn't really expect much, but thought, it's in. I've done it. Let's see what happens. And when that email came through, it was the best feeling in the world.
Yes, the best feeling. Yes, I cried so much that day. And people around me, oh, what happened? Well, no, it's happiness. It's happiness. Don't worry. No, I enjoy this academy. I start to organizing my life, because if you get involved in this academy, you want to do more, to do best. And so, for example, I have my Kanban board with all my tasks. You know that? Do you remember?
Yeah.
I have personalized and printed my own.
Brilliant.
I start to focus and try to organize my thinking. It's the best thing I learned from the academy. Both with another keyword, collaboration. I learned so much from other people. There is no problem to share failure and to get involved in other conversation, to know some things more about your issue. Totally connection with Affinity Buddy, for example. I think that it was very brilliant. And also this virtual that was for 8 weeks. It's all it is a good point, instead of 3 days of full immersion, because you have the time to improve your knowledge of other team member, or the process of the learning process, your project. I think that it is a good idea to have 8 weeks academy.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I think it was really helpful, and certainly I know. Big shout out to Ian, my Affinity Buddy. I found that I didn't really know what to expect when they said you're going to have an Affinity Buddy. I was like, okay, thanks. But we worked really well together, and it was really nice to be able to speak to someone who was outside of the team, outside of your project, looking in with a completely unbiased view, because as we found out, you know, your own personal bias can be quite obstructive sometimes. But that was really great, and Ian and I had a lot of fun kind of helping each other out as well. So that certainly was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. What was your highlights, Peter?
Oh, my highlights. I really liked a lot of the Spark sessions.
Yeah,
they were good. It's great hearing from Googlers and some people really high up at Google, and just hearing their insights into how they manage their projects. But I think my particular highlight, I think just the weekly sessions, our team coaching session and the weekly design thinking session. I look forward to those. Everyone, was really good, and just so densely packed with new information to learn, and like things to kind of go away and do and learn more about. Yeah, I think that's my highlights.
Yeah, Filomena.
Yes, I think that I lacked the first session, because I feel so overwhelmed, because I feel little. And then they start with the empathy, with the active listening. That is one of the first things that I try to learn in my class.
Right.
And active learning is the base of social emotional learning. Empathy is the base of teaching. And so, okay, this is my home now. And it was so it's changed my point of view, because I feel in the good way, in the good place, in the right place at the right moment for me.
Absolutely. Like you say, it was that first session was really intense, because it was only an hour long, and it just seemed to be just like super fast paced. And I think I came off that first call kind of almost like out of breath in a way. But like you say, Peter, I don't know about you, but I've really missed the Mondays and the Tuesdays.
Yeah, I miss them too.
I've kind of, because at work I was kind of like, oh, we've got a session in a couple of hours, and now I'm like Monday and a Tuesday. I'm like, oh, I can go home. Yeah. So I've actually been using the Monday and the Tuesday afternoon, that same slot, to do a little bit of work on my project, just to make me feel better.
Good idea. Yeah.
I thought, let's keep that going.
I am here if you want, Darren. We could do our meeting on Monday.
Absolutely. And we definitely need to keep it up. That's for sure. We definitely need to have regular check-ins, because it was brilliant. And, the other guys as well, Kelly and Ali and Sabina, fantastic projects that they're all working on as well. And it was really nice as well, because we had a nice 50-50 split between the, you know, sort of UK and Italy, didn't we? So we had a little bit of fun, and I got to practice my Italian a little bit, which was horrendous.
I have to practice my English too.
Your English is very good.
I was so self-confident. Oh, I know English. It's good. I will have no problem. Okay, then I start the first day, and sometimes I miss the speech. I mean, I try to put down some words and connect the speech, and because it's so difficult for me, because very specific terms, and I have to learn. And I think that now I improve my pronunciation, I improve my fluency, but I am not at the final point, or not at the point that I would like to.
No, we're lifelong
Your
learners.
English is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so following up on the highlights, then, for me, I think I loved the Crazy Eights activity.
Yeah.
I've said to you both, I think, you know, I've been using it with my students in class, and they've really enjoyed it as well. And there's been some fantastic ideas and things that they've come out with as a result of it. And we're kind of following a little mini design thinking kind of project at the moment, and they've really enjoyed it. And we've used collaborative jam boards with the, you know, high and low impact and high and low cost, and coming up with their ideas and moving them all around. They've really, really enjoyed it. So apart from anything else, I think it's had a really positive impact on my teaching, you know, as well as everything beyond that, because it's just given me a whole load of different ways to think about collaborating in a classroom, because I'm conscious that at any point we might end up doing it all virtually again, because obviously in the UK we're back in school at the moment. So I'm kind of trying to develop processes in class that I can continue should we have to go virtual again, rather than getting into a particular in-class habit and then having to change things. So that was really good. I really enjoyed the Crazy Eights way of looking at things. And also as well, the opportunity we had to pitch to the innovators. I think that was quite intense, because you kind of I felt it was a little bit like The Apprentice. You know, not when you've got Lord Sugar, but right towards the end when you sit down and they get interviewed by Claude and people like that, and they really give them a grilling. I kind of felt a little bit like that, and I think it was good because it made me look in a lot more detail at my project and kind of think about what I was actually doing it for and what I was trying to achieve and who for as well. So that was great. But like you say, the design thinking stuff with Les Macbeth was absolutely fantastic. And Andy's organisation, big shout out to Andy Caffrey, was superb. And as we know, the guy never sleeps, so I'm sure he's awake and, you know,
he's
listening somewhere. Yeah. He's unreal.
I wonder how many, if you add up all the sessions which had to be scheduled.
Oh God,
it's got to be in the hundreds, hasn't it?
It's got to be. Yeah, absolutely.
And the Spark Camp, the whole
Spark Camp Saturday,
event,
24 hours, right?
24 hours of sessions. That's
across every time zone.
It's amazing.
Wow.
It was. Even just to understand every time zone, to get it organised in the first place, I think is a huge task. But absolutely superbly done. So, what would you guys say was the most challenging thing for you?
In first place, the language. I already say it. Then I have to learn to organize my ideas, because I am always a volcano of ideas, but then I wasn't able to stop and organize these ideas. So through Academy, I learned to have the big picture in my mind and then scroll down until the real issue. And this way I start to focus on my project really. Before, I am only idea, only project in my mind. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. But then with the Academy, I start to view the final my target and start to work really on my project. and this is so important for me. And I apply this thinking, this design thinking that I learned also in my teaching approach now, and it is so brilliant. So I don't waste time anymore. It is important for me.
Absolutely, that minimum viable product was a great little tagline, because and I think that's quite difficult to get your head around. And then you kind of, once you do, you kind of understand how Google works and where people get frustrated with things not being 100% like how they want them. Minimum viable product. And as soon as you understand that, it's kind of like, well, yeah, but now we're all developing it, we're all part of it, and that's part of the fun, right?
Get something out there, start getting feedback before you start spending too much time on an idea which is not going to work, or which people don't actually need.
Exactly.
So it's a great idea,
or already exists, and I think that's there's lots to be said for that. And coming up with a name was challenging, I think.
Oh yes,
I think that was.
I'm still not happy with the name I've got.
Do you not? What's the name of your project at the moment, Peter?
It's currently EduSites.
Yeah.
But I'm not tied to that. I'm not holding that one too closely.
Okay. And Filomena, you've gone with Digital Cell, haven't you?
Yes, Digital Cell. Yes,
provide
resources digitally, easily shareable in classroom with Google tools about Cell. Like, for example, the Good Morning in class. You can do this with slides. You can do with the forms. Whatever you want, you have to do because it's so important. Sit down and ask children and students, how are you? But carefully listening the answers, because if you ask how are you and then you don't listen to the answer, it's not important. No, so icebreaker game for the first day of school, and then circle times idea just to connect children. I try to transform and give teacher usable resources, read resources usable to use in classroom.
Brilliant. And I couldn't agree more. Relationships are so important, and it's the foundation that everything else is built on. And if kids are happy and comfortable, then they'll learn. Happy kids learn. It's as simple as that. And I think that's one of the things that I try and remember all the time, is that our brains don't work very well when we're under pressure and we're under stress. And teenagers and young children, it's even more difficult for them. So if we can make them relax and make them feel happy, then we're halfway there, and it makes the job a lot more manageable. So we're going to have an opportunity to share our projects if you'd like to, guys.
Oh my God, I wasn't ready for this.
Oh, really?
No.
I don't
We've had lots of practice pitching now, haven't
we? We have. So for those people who don't know, on the actual part of the Innovator Academy, the kind of second to last week, we had to come up with a 30-second pitch, didn't we? Which apparently is the shortest pitch anybody has ever had to do as part of the Innovator Academy.
29 seconds, I got mine too.
Okay, 29 seconds. Yeah, 29 seconds. But 30-second limit to basically pitch your idea, elevator pitch style, to other innovators. And wow, that was difficult, because we had virtually a script to follow, didn't we? Or at least a guide. And I don't know about you guys.
You have to cut.
It's tough. My first one is about a minute long.
Yeah.
And it really forces you to look at it and think, what is essential here? What can I cut? What of it? What parts of it's just fluff you don't need?
Yeah.
So it did really force you to just look at what you're saying.
Yeah.
And
just get to
communicate the essence of your idea. So it was a really good exercise doing that.
Yeah, I think my first go was over a minute, but it felt like about 20 seconds. And as I stopped, I was like, well, that was okay. And everyone was shaking their head going, no, it wasn't. No, like, what? So, yeah, that was really tough, really, really tough. But great fun at the same time, and a really good opportunity to, like you say, hone in on exactly what your problem and what your solution is. And as Stuart mentioned earlier in the chat, you know, the key thing is to fall in love with that problem. And Peter, you rang the foul bell fairly early on, didn't you?
Well, I wouldn't call it raving. In fact, I guess I pivoted and took a different approach to.
You put up a big picture of the foul bell on our chat.
Oh yeah, I suppose I did, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, I'd call that ringing the foul bell.
True. So, I mean, my project going into it was going to be about mobile device use in education, and it's still something I feel strongly about. And devices are banned in classrooms. I wanted to see them being used to support learning, not just seen as like for devil or a really bad thing for children's education. So early on in the process, my project was kind of focused on developing a training site, looking at how we can use those devices in classrooms. But after talking to more of our teachers, I came to realise actually they're already using them quite a bit, but just kind of flying under the radar there.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, sure. So and after talking to Andy and to Jess and some other people, I thought I'd take a different approach and try and did some more crazy eights to come up with a killer app for education to kind of change how we're currently using our mobile devices for education. So did a bunch more crazy eights and eventually came round to the idea of creating a smart education assistant. And there's already some out there starting to be developed in like Bolton College and other colleges and unis, but it's still quite a new thing. And one of the things which came out of the interviews with my teachers at college was it's still really hard getting access to data, and students find it hard getting answers to questions. I don't always know who to ask, and particularly getting some of the data out of other Google services. So I thought, well, why don't I bring all of those things together and create a smart digital assistant app to enable easier access for data, for people to get access to that data and answer questions really easily through a device they've always got access to. And the hope there is also this would convince kind of senior leadership teams that actually this is an app worthwhile deploying in your college and institution to kind of change those policies around mobile device use. So that was much longer in my pitch video, which was 29 seconds.
Yeah, no, that's but like you say, I mean, your original project I was very much on board with as well, because I'm a strong believer in teaching responsible use, and my argument has always been, we didn't start taking books and paper off of kids when they were passing notes. So why do we take phones off them if a couple of kids use them inappropriately? That's about being responsible and teaching them.
Absolutely. And I just wasn't sure if another training site would really change that behavior.
And that culture. So
I thought I'd take a different approach.
Absolutely.
And I wanted a real challenge, really. So this is going to be quite a technical challenge to kind of create this thing. So I need to learn a lot about things like BigQuery, Dialogflow, just bring up my coding skills back up to scratch. I've not done much coding lately. So this is going to be, I think, a good personal challenge for me, but hopefully it's going to benefit a lot of people once I've created this thing.
Definitely. So how are you going about moving forward and planning them?
Yeah, so I'm just taking, at the moment, it just seems like a huge mountain to climb. So I'm just taking small steps. So my first step really is to brush up my coding skills. So I'm looking at all the different Google APIs available and just learning exactly what they can do, what data I can get out of that, and what I can make them do. And just getting a feel for how all that works. And we've all been signed up to the technical forum as well. And Clay Smith has been really helpful in hosting kind of a weekly chat there, which has just started. So he's kind of given me a load of tips on stuff to look at there. and I've linked up with some other innovators who've been working on similar things in the past, really similar technologies. So like Darren Simons, had a chat with him last week, who's an innovator from London 19.
Yep.
So yeah, it's great to kind of connect to some existing innovators and get their kind of insights.
Definitely, and particularly when it's in an area or a field that you're not necessarily feeling comfortable with. That's quite a challenge, right? When I first looked at mine, I was thinking about building an app, and I wouldn't have the first clue where to start if I was building from scratch. But I've used things like Glide before, so that kind of made me feel a little bit better in that I could probably achieve something. As it happened, I've kind of pivoted a little bit myself as well, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, it's that's where that imposter syndrome starts to come back in again, I think, because you start to feel like you should have all the answers and you should be able to do all aspects of it, which of course is ridiculous because not everybody can do everything, but it doesn't stop you thinking that way, I think, to start off with. And it is quite a challenge as well to open up your project to somebody else sometimes, I think, and have them critique it and maybe take it in a different direction. But very, very valuable. What about you, Filomena? You've said a lot about how you've now changed your way of organizing your thinking. Have you got a particular approach you're using?
Yes, I was thinking when you were talking that for me, Innovator Academy was and is like a roller coaster. Sometimes I feel, oh, I am the best woman in the world, and sometimes I feel so overwhelmed. And yeah, I start with a question. We empower the social emotional learning classroom? Then through the academy, I start with imaging my solution. And then at the end, during the graduation, they say, oh, this is the end or the beginning. Then I met my mentor, Rachel Swanson. She's amazing. And we have a meet, and she asked me, okay, and now? And now. So I have to organize my ideas and start with numbers of things to do.
Yep.
The things that and divide into ways. The things that I know already and I am able to do, and the things where I need help, like the app. I would like to build up an app, but I don't know nothing about it. So I divide my path in 2 ways. Things that I'm already done, like digital resources with the Google tools, and things that I have to study and to learn during this year. So help me through the app, Darren, please. Teach me.
I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. No, but for anybody who is interested, Glide.apps is fantastic in that you can create an app quite easily just by using a Google spreadsheet. And it's pretty easy to learn. And there's a free version and there's a paid version and there's templates already there and things like that. But it is a nice way to get into app building if you are interested. Certainly, I managed to do it for, I co-run a beer festival normally, not at the moment, obviously, because we're not allowed people. But we managed to develop an app last year off of that, and it was really useful. It kind of took things to a different level because everybody had all the information on their phones rather than having to keep walking around. And that was all built just on put the information into a Google Sheet and then organize it at the front end with Glide. So that was really, really good. And if people haven't checked it out, I would definitely recommend it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm using Trello actually to organize my stuff. Because I've used it a little bit before when I was doing some sort of project management a little while ago to do with GDPR and things like that. And just felt that it was very, very versatile because you can color code things, you can drag things around, you can attach to it, you can share with other people. So I've built myself a Trello board basically with all of my bits and pieces on. And very much like you said, Peter, very, very small steps each time. But they're gradually starting to add up, and you can easily see how much you've achieved. So I've got a very much like your printouts that you had there, Filomena. I've got what I want to do, what I'm doing, what's still to do, what's in process, and what's done already, and all that kind of thing. So, you know, I've found that really useful, and I've been able to share that with Steph, my mentor, as well. So she's been able to have a look at that as well. And it's just a nice, simple way of organizing my thinking, because I think I'm very much like you, loads of ideas, but then where do you put them all?
Yeah.
So, Peter, your current project then, EduSites.
Yeah.
How's it looking at the moment? Have you got something there, or is it a case of a lot of work to go on in the back room? And
yeah, I've got a ton of work to do before anything's going to be close to launch, and a ton of stuff to learn. Yeah, just to see. I mean, it looks like it should be possible now. I know that much at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to learn before I've got something I can put out there and show, really.
I think that's really important for people who are considering applying to the Innovator program as well, is that it hasn't got to be ready overnight. You know, you've got a whole year-long program with support and everything else to put something together, and that may change between now and the end of the program. You know, we might all pivot our projects to something completely different by the end of it, but there will always be that support there and that network that goes along with it. So that's
exactly
really
continue the design thinking process, keep on getting feedback, and you know that feedback might put us on a different direction to what we originally thought was right. Yeah, and that's probably the biggest thing I learned for us, is not to hold on to my ideas too tightly, really, and to have kind of those preconceptions about what I thought the solution was to other people's problems. So yeah, definitely that's a big takeaway.
And also, you know, from the point of view of feedback, like you were saying, you know, other people looking at it with a fresh set of eyes see completely different things to what we do, because we're so used to what we're looking at. You know, I've put my beta version out there for people to have a look at, and some of the comments that people have come back with, Rachel, who's on in the chat, has given me some great feedback. Little things that were so obvious that you just kind of lose in the mist, if you know what I mean. And then you come back to it and you go, oh yeah, look, that's in a different font, or that's slightly off centered. And sometimes you just miss those little bits and pieces that make life a lot easier. Or, you know, is that the easiest way to explain that? Or does it mean something else in another country? And all these kind of things that you've got to bear in mind, right? And that's where I think working across the two sides of our team was great, because we had the Italian aspect looking at it from, okay, well, if you make it too complicated in English, people aren't going to understand it. Equally, us thinking we don't just want people who are English to be able to understand it. It needs to be something that is simple and can easily be adapted. And that's why I was talking to Filomena before the show. I ended up using IORAD for some of my tutorials. Because purely by chance, I was playing around with it because it was recommended to me by one of the innovators, Rachel Galang, and Rochelle Galang, and she was saying that basically, you know, it's great. It does step by step, like records every click and all that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, that sounds interesting, because it's physically doing rather than just watching a video. And it was only when I played around for a bit that I realized that as the person watching, you can choose the language. So you've got the option to translate the instructions into any language you like from a massive list, which is a complete game changer. Because I was starting to think, have I got to create like a Spanish version, an Italian version, a French version, you know, and actually people can just select for themselves, which is, you know, fantastic. So those sessions with the other innovators were fantastic. They're really, really good.
Well, you're so great about suggestion. Thank you, Darren. You're a very useful friend.
You're taking notes, are you?
Yes, I'm just writing down in the chat. Please take note.
Yeah, there's so many things out there, and that's the beauty, I think, of not just the innovator community, but the trainer community as well, and the whole GEG side of things is fantastic because everybody is willing to share. There's, I think sometimes in schools people are a little bit, no, that's mine. You can't have that. These are my resources, and people get a bit precious, kind of thing. Whereas the global GEG and the GEG communities worldwide and everything else is just so giving. It's brilliant, and it's infectious, right?
Yes, absolutely. You start from a little town, from a little environment that is your school, in which everyone is jealous of our knowledge, and then you go over in the world and find people that easily share their knowledge. Oh, I can share my slides with you. I can share my knowledge. I can share my suggestion. I can share my discover. And it's so useful for everyone. So amazing for everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, last year at our college, we developed a digital learning site with a ton of resources on there. It used to be locked behind our firewall, but after joining Twitter last year and seeing all the other people sharing resources, I thought, why are we holding on to all of this stuff and not sharing it? So just opened it up and started posting links to us, and got great feedback from other schools and colleges, using this now. So
I still can't believe it's only been a year since you've been on Twitter. It feels like, I don't know, this year has been so strange that it feels like about 10 years has gone past in one, I suppose, but because so much has happened, and technology and teaching and everything else has moved on so fast in such a short space of time. It's phenomenal. It really is.
Yeah, I did the same in my school, try to involve other teachers in this transformation, and they told me, oh, you are so fast for us, too much information for our brain, please stop.
Yes. And that's the thing. That's the good thing about the GEG communities and the trainer and innovator communities is we're talking like-minded individuals. Yeah. So we're happy to work at pace. We're happy to be bombarded and make the notes and come back and rewatch things later if needs be, or drop somebody a message. But a lot of people aren't comfortable doing that. And a lot of people, which is the reason behind my project, I was getting a lot of staff saying to me, I'm the kind of person, you can't show me it once. I need to sit and do it 3 or 4 times before you've even got a chance of it going in. And they're not old teachers. One of the biggest things that surprised me, I did a survey before. I think it was probably about week 2 or 3 when we were dealing with the empathy, and I had a great session with Luke Dyer. So shout out to Luke in Australia, where we did that sort of 3-minute prototyping about what your desk space was going to look like, and that was great fun. And I came away from that and I did a little bit of a survey on what level of educational technology training teachers had coming into the profession. And only 27% of newly qualified teachers said they'd had any form of technological training in terms of educational technology. And I found that staggering. And then I kind of thought, well, actually, it's probably because people are assuming that because you know how to use an iPad or you've got an iPhone, that you know how to use all this stuff. But of course, they've never used it in this context before. So it's still just as scary as it is for somebody who's 3 years away from retirement, or still using a Nokia 3210 or whatever it might be. It's still out of their comfort zone, and that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. And I think that's something we can easily forget, which is why that, as you were saying, Filomena, that empathy side of things is so important. And certainly something that, like you said, that I've been trying to work on, particularly with my students, in terms of getting them to see other people's perspectives and looking at things from other angles. So really, really, personally, I can't recommend the program enough. I was told to apply years ago, and I like I said, I've never really felt like it was for me, and I've met so many amazing people and I've had so much fun doing it that I would definitely recommend it to other people.
Yes.
What about you, Filomena?
Yes, I recommend this experience. When I start to talk about with other innovators like Louis or Leslie from Global GG, they told also Abid Patel, they told me, oh, you will see, if you get accepted, this experience will change your mind. And it's happened. It's changed. It's changed my mind absolutely, in a good way, in the best good way that possible. And for the first place, because sometimes I feel like I am from other planet, because I talk technological and digital like a robot. And then I found Global GG first, and then the Innovator Academy, and I found other people from my planet, like my family. I found my family. It's so important. I raise my self-confidence again, because I feel so overwhelmed and struggling with this issue. And now I am home. I am with other people that speak my language, and I am so happy. And so I recommend the experience. Absolutely.
Brilliant. What better recommendation? I hate to say it, but Peter, can you follow that?
Oh, definitely I can, but I just, firstly, I want to thank Rachel is watching it, but also John Neal and Abid Patel for like pushing me to apply for this and checking the early versions of my various video applications and all of that. So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, I'd recommend this to everyone. Really, it is a life-changing experience. It really kind of makes you don't realize when it quite happens in the academy, but you start thinking a different way, and it's going to change the way I operate at work, the way I run my team, where I approach projects, and approach everything I do in the future, I think.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I've definitely approached things differently in this last term as a result of that, like you say, that changed way of thinking and that changed perspective. And other people have noticed it as well as my nice bag that I'm carrying around with Google Innovator on the back of it, and my t-shirt and my jumper and all that kind of stuff as well.
And do you teach in this as well?
I don't. It's a bit warm, to be honest with you. So I don't, and I am worried I might take off at any particular point. But my wife is also complaining that I've got way too much swag, and we all know there's never too much swag. So she's just going to have to get used to it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of t-shirts floating around, but it's been brilliant fun, and that's why really I wanted to focus an episode on this as well. Ben obviously applied for VIA 20 himself, and unfortunately, great logo, didn't get in this time round. But as I think virtually everybody has said to him, it's one of those things that it happens for you when it's the right time. And I know that's easy to say, but I definitely feel if I'd have applied and got into Sweden, it wouldn't have been the right time for me. Knowing what I know now, I feel like this was the right time for me, and there'll be a right time for other people. And people that across Global Gleg, Rick Ballou, for example, applied 8 times until he got in. And that is part and parcel of the resilience and things that you need to demonstrate, because it's about keeping going and adapting and moving forward and narrowing down what your problem is, what your focus is, what your solution is. And I think, just to kind of sum up, really, and if anybody's got any particular questions, please do put them in the chat these last sort of 5 minutes. But that whole prospect of coming in and applying actually without a solution, I found very, very difficult. I think probably that was prior to the project was the biggest challenge for me, was not having a solution, because I'm so used to coming up with a solution for things. And people come to me and say, how would you do this? How would you do that? And we come up with ways of doing it. That actually putting it out there and saying, do you know what? I genuinely don't know how I'm going to achieve this, was really difficult. I don't know how you both felt about that.
Yes, me too. Because sometimes you start from the solution to do, you do the reverse thing. You start from the solution to figure out the problem. And then it's so difficult to just focus on the why might we question and then stop there without solution, without suggestion, without anything. Because Innovator Academy, it will help through that. Mm-hmm. So I think that I have the same issue at the beginning.
Yeah. Peter?
Yeah, absolutely. I must have done countless revisions to my application just to make sure I wasn't even hinting that I had a solution there, even subconsciously kind of putting something into it without realizing it. But in another way, it kind of does free your thinking, doesn't it? Just by focusing on that challenge.
Yeah,
and keeps you open-minded.
Definitely. We've got a question from the lovely Stuart, who would like to know, what would we change about the structure of an online academy?
I think they organize the academy online very well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I will change something. I know that in present it will be different. In first place, the graduation, we will have so much fun together, dancing and cheering and other things. But I think they organized very well the academy online. So I will change nothing about it.
There you go. What about you, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, they catered for all the different time zones very well. So had different sessions on, a full spectrum of time zones. The only thing I'd change is I just wanted to get started quicker. That first couple of weeks while we waited to get started, I was just like itching to get going. Once we got accepted onto it, I just wanted to kind of dive in straight away. But
thank goodness we had logos to sort out.
We had the logo that kept me very busy.
It certainly did.
Thank you. I've improved my logo design skills. So that's helped.
That's it. I mean, it's another string to your bow, isn't it?
That's it.
Because you had to pretty much learn Illustrator to do that.
I learned Illustrator, in that first couple of weeks. So it kept me, kept me busy. It's useful.
Yeah,
useful to learn.
Absolutely. I mean, I was really surprised at how enjoyable things like the virtual graduation were. And I don't mean that surprised as in I thought it was going to be terrible, but actually surprised how interactive it was, how relaxed it was, how much fun it was as well. And we all hit the breakout rooms afterwards, and there was karaoke and all sorts of things going on until the early hours of the morning, which was brilliant fun for anyone who basically wasn't listening. So, but also good fun for the rest of us as well. The only thing, obviously, it would, like you said, would be great to meet up in person, but a lot of people said when they announced the VIA that it won't be the same, and I think some people were put off by that, and others went, but actually it won't be the same. So it'll be a new experience, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. And I love the fact that we've been part of the first ever virtual online academy. I don't know what things hold moving forward, but I'm sure from the feedback that they've had from the academy itself, that certainly there'll always be the element of something virtual in there moving forward, no matter what, because that worked so well. A little bit of in-person would be brilliant, but that's difficult when you're global. So it's one of those things. I thought timing wise was good. I did wonder, I'll be honest, when it was sort of September, I thought, ooh, September's normally a nightmare. But thankfully, because of COVID and everything else, open evenings and all that didn't take place. So it didn't cause any problems at all. So it kind of worked out beautifully in the end. Like I say, sometimes these things happen for a reason, don't they? But
yes, now I miss it. So
yeah,
I was much more time with the academy. 1 year academy, because I enjoyed it and I love to have again session and concatenate meet and other things.
So.
Definitely, and we need to
regular meet.
Definitely do that. So I don't think we got any more questions. So I'd just like to say a huge thank you to you guys for giving up your Sunday evening to come and talk to us. And obviously those people in the chat, if you don't already, please give Peter and Filomena a follow on Twitter and keep an eye out for the developments of their projects, EduSites and Digital Cell, and keep an eye out for my EdTech Buddy as well. And feel free to have a go at the first unit, the beta unit, if you want to. Peter's completed unit 1 today, and he's got his feedback badge.
12 out of 12.
Yeah, 12 out of 12. Rachel,
I was actually. I got one.
Just saying, Rachel. Peter got 12. Okay. 12, that is. That's full marks, Rachel. Okay. So, like I said, thanks ever so much for being here this evening, guys. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, at some point, we can get the rest of the team involved as well and have a chat with them maybe a little bit further down the road and see how our projects are developing.
Thank you to you, Darren.
Brilliant.
Thanks for having us, Darren. Much appreciated.
You're very welcome. And thanks to everyone for watching. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.